What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very important AMC update to bring all of you this afternoon. So what we're going to be going over in this update is a brief Ortex short interest and utilization update to give us a better understanding of where the short interest is at the current time and what is the potential for one of those forced share recalls that we have been looking for a lot over the last couple of months since we most likely saw one back in June. Now, in addition to this, we're also going to touch on the gamma squeeze potential going into the end of this week and more importantly, going into the next trading week. Now, the other two things that we're going to be talking about in this video are very, very important key pieces of information. One of them has to do with the debt ceiling and the risk of the United States defaulting on their outstanding debt. The second has to do with confirmed SEC investigations into the trading activities in not only GameStop, but specifically mentioned other stocks as well. So this is really important info. And I think a lot of people over the last couple of months have been saying, why isn't the SEC doing anything? But this information was right under our noses the entire time. Now, I know there's going to be two sides to this. One side is going to be very happy that the SEC is doing something. And the other side is going to be saying, well, the SEC really, even though they're investigating, they're probably not going to do a whole lot. I would side with you guys in saying that most likely the SEC actions are going to be coming out with regulations after we see these squeezes happen and make sure that the parties that have been basically committing these actions against these stocks, naked shorting, counterfeit shares, yada, 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 are held responsible. And they are probably going to try to put into place regulations and laws to make this never happen again. But again, it is still very, very bullish. So at the current time that I'm recording, AMC is currently trading at $47.64. It is up about 0.5% on the day. Now, when we come over to this Ortex update right here, utilization 91.73%, still very high. It's just kind of teetering around this 90 to 93% range. What's most likely occurring here is when we take a look at the short interest, the other day we reached just all-time high short interest for AMC. It cracked into that 19% range. But we saw a lower short interest back in April, May, and June, but the utilization was up at around 100%. So what is going on there? Well, most likely what's happening is that some of these institutions are finding a way to get their hands on more shares in order to loan them out, because the utilization is basically the amount of shares that institutions are willing to lend versus the amount of shares that they have lent out already. Now, when we come over to this Stonko Tracker update, we have 51,270 calls expiring in the money going into the end of this week. But again, this week, not all that important. And again, we said this in every single video, we need to keep a lookout for this next week expiration. All of these calls that are in the money right now have already started to be hedged for. But if we can continue to see this run up that we've been seeing over AMC over the last couple of weeks, we could potentially see a lot more of these out of the money calls run in the money, and that is going to lead to a lot more buying volume getting pushed into the stock, which is going to push it up even higher. Now, before we get into a couple of these other things that we really need to go over, like the confirmed SEC investigation, we kind of need to take a look at the key levels in terms of the option chain going into the next 2 weeks or week and a half. When we come over to AMC's option chain for September 17th, again, this is the monthly options expiration date, so we are going to see more open interest and more volume coming into this chain. We see a big chunk of contracts at this $50 level, another solid amount at 55, then 60, 65, 70. So if we start this move up, we are going to see a lot of contracts starting to run in the money. And like I said before, more contracts running in the money leads to more hedging buying volume from these institutions. Now let's get into this confirmed SEC investigation. When we come over here, this is going to be from GameStop's most recent quarterly report. And we can see this highlighted section right here. On May 26, 2021, we received a request from the staff of the SEC for the voluntary production, meaning they didn't have to give up these documents, of documents and information concerning an SEC investigation into the trading activity in our securities and the securities of other companies. I wonder who that sounds like. AMC. The SEC has since called for additional documents. That is very important. As a follow-up to the initial request, we are in the process of producing the documents and have been and intend to continue cooperating fully with the SEC staff regarding this matter. This inquiry is not expected to adversely impact us. So what happened, I found this information. I was hanging out on TradeSpotting's live stream and somebody brought this up in the live chat and I decided to do a little bit more research into this. But when we come over to GameStop's previous quarterly report, we can see that this is mentioned here as well. So we can see on May 26th, we received the request from the SEC staff for the voluntary production of these documents. So this was already mentioned, but the key difference is that the SEC has more recently requested even more documents from GameStop concerning the trading activity in their stock and other securities as well. So there is an investigation going on at the current time. So for those of you who have been worried or upset that the SEC and Gary Gensler have not been looking into this, it's right here, right in front of your faces. This is what we've been saying the entire time, that the SEC is not going to come out and directly say they're investigating this, but if you look closely into a lot of these filings, you will be able to find out some more of this information. Now, here is the other thing that I want to bring up to you guys. We are going to go back to GameStop's most recent quarterly report. Now, it's going to get a little confusing because these pages kind of all look the same. But when we come over here, this highlighted section right here is very, very interesting. The extent aggregate short exposure exceeds the number of shares of our Class A common stock available for purchase on the open market. Investors with short exposure may have to pay a premium to repurchase shares of our Class A common stock for delivery to lenders of this stock. Those repurchases may in turn dramatically increase the price of our shares. But we can see the most important part here is the extent aggregate short exposure exceeds the number of shares. They're basically confirming that naked shorting or over shorting is happened in their stock. Now, here's the most important thing. I looked through GameStop's last quarterly report that was going to be basically pertaining to Q1. And remember, the reported data from Q1, according to Ortex, showed that GameStop's short interest was much higher than 100%. I believe it peaked at 140%. So this statement right here was not included in that earnings report, that quarterly report that would have been covering the time where that short interest should have been that high. But they say it now. So what I really want to get across to you guys right here is that these stocks have not squeezed yet. The shorts have not covered, and we are still in the driver's seat in this situation. So this is all pretty great information, guys. And in addition to this, when we come over to this Yahoo Finance article that we brought up a couple of times, we can see that in a meeting of the newly formed White House Competition Council set to take place later this week, it's actually going to be on Friday right here at 10 a.m., Gensler will also emphasize the agency's examination of the impact of revenue models like payment for order flows, a senior SEC official told Yahoo Finance. So a lot of people have been worried about this payment for order flow issue, and essentially the powers that be at our government have basically given the SEC full reign to do a data analysis and research this problem. They are going to be presenting some of their findings at this meeting happening tomorrow morning. So let's see what happens with this. We have heard that a payment for order flow ban is on the table, and that would greatly impact companies like Robinhood, where they derive a lot of their revenue from these payment for order flow models. Now, here's the other thing that I really want to bring up to you guys. This is going to be in a little bit of small writing, but what we can see here is this is a letter from Janet Yellen, and what she's basically saying here is that a lot of things are in trouble in terms of our economy. Given this uncertainty, the Treasury Department is not able to provide a specific estimate of how long the extraordinary measures will last. This has to do with the debt ceiling situation and the measures that they have taken to try to kick the can down the road in terms of not being able to raise more money through new bond sales. However, based on our best and most recent information, the most likely outcome is that cash and extraordinary measures will be exhausted during the month of October. We will continue to upgrade Congress as more information becomes available. What they are trying to do here is get the government to raise the debt ceiling. It's most likely not going to happen. The Republicans and Democrats are clashing over this situation. There's a lot of other things involved right now, but it doesn't look like this debt ceiling issue is going to go away. And here are some of the outcomes that could happen from this. One, the United States could default on their outstanding debt, which has never happened, I believe. So if that were to happen, the overall markets would absolutely freak out. We would see significant economic downturn. We would see the markets really start to freak out. And think about this, with everybody already over leveraged at the current time, even a small market correction would feel a lot larger with the leverage out in the market. The second option that would come from this is that if they are able to figure this out and kick the can down the road a little bit further, they are most likely going to get their credit rating downgraded. The last time this happened, happened in a widespread scale, the S&P 500 dropped about 20 to 30%. That is a very big drop. So what we're looking at here is another one of these major market events on our horizon, and it just goes to show that our markets are teetering on the brink of a major situation happening. Is it going to be caused by the AMC and GameStop short squeezes? It definitely could if the amount of shares that are actually out in the market right now are what we think they are, like in the billions of share amounts, and they have to cover all of those positions by selling off a lot of their other equities, and that would cause some more equity downturn. Or it could be due to one of these other unrelated situations due to the debt ceiling, inflation, or any real estate crisis that is going to arise. So that is mainly going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I am trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.